Hey what's up guys, welcome back to another sports stuff video, and today I'm going to be talking about the Jones Enigma, as I'm calling it. So, if you guys do enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do enjoy, go to my Linktree, follow me on everything. I just hit affiliate today on Twitch, meaning you can now subscribe to my Twitch account and support me directly with funds and money. So please go to my Twitch and subscribe. I stream every single night, and I'll be streaming a lot more now that I actually hit affiliate, but let's get into the video. So let me explain the Jones Enigma real quickly. As we know, the last month and a half of the draft process, right before the draft, there's always one person that for some reason climbs up boards. And usually it's a it's about an average to below average quarterback who all of a sudden starts soaring up boards and gets picked within top 10, when before they were viewed as a second round pick. And we saw it with Daniel Jones, recently. And this season, it's about to happen with Mac Jones. So I'm calling it the Jones Enigma from now on. I know not everyone's last name will be Jones that is climbing up boards, but that's what I'm calling it for now. Daniel Jones, for some reason in his draft in 2019, soared up boards. He was, a basic pocket passer, nothing special, average arm, average accuracy, but for some reason he just climbed up boards late. And the same thing's happened with Mac Jones. For some reason, Mac Jones is now a top 10 pick projected. That makes no sense. I didn't even have him as a first round pick 2 months ago. 3 months ago, he was in the second round. So why is it all of a sudden that Mac Jones, like Daniel Jones, is climbing up boards and already in the top 10 projected? Because, if he goes past 3, because, San Francisco said, we really like Mac Jones, we're going to take Mac Jones at 3. And now they're starting to say, well, maybe Justin Fields, maybe. But Mac Jones is still really interesting. So why do teams keep doing this? Why did teams like the Giants, although they actually did draft Daniel Jones, the Giants in 2019 did the exact same thing with Daniel Jones, draft analysis and predictors were saying like Mel Kiper were even saying Daniel Jones is starting to rise up boards of certain teams. Why is this happening, and who is rising them up their boards? So let's talk about it. I'm gonna give you a couple reasons why I think the Jones Enigma is even a thing. So I'm gonna stick with the Jones Enigma being mainly quarterbacks, and here's why these two quarterbacks rose up boards, are rising up boards for Mac Jones right now. So he's probably gonna be a top 5 pick. They're both pocket passers. Now the league is changing. Yes, it'd be very nice to have a dual threat quarterback. Let's go back to the 2018 draft first. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, two very dynamic quarterbacks. I would put Baker Mayfield in there. I think Baker Mayfield is a good thrower with a below average athleticism, but Josh Allen has led the league in quarterback touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, since he's come into the league, I think. Lamar Jackson is obviously one of the best running quarterbacks we've ever seen in league history. He's already surpassed Mike Vick in multiple records held by quarterbacks in rushing. And those kind of quarterbacks are starting to, more dynamic. Like if you can throw and run, you're gonna, you're rising up boards. Kyler Murray in 2019 is a great example. He was an undersized quarterback, but the fact that his running ability, his accuracy, his strength, his deep ball, his intelligence when he's throwing the ball, and deciphering which read he should go with, that rose him up boards to be the number 1 pick. So why is that type of quarterback starting to become the norm? Patrick Mahomes even has athleticism. Justin Herbert is sneaky. Baker Mayfield is pretty sneaky as well. Why are these, young quarterbacks that we see as the next future face of the league? Why is that the norm? And how come Daniel Jones got picked over some of them? He was a number 6 overall pick. Would he have been picked over Josh Allen? We don't know. But how come even with the league that developing into you have to be a dual threat quarterback, how are these guys still getting drafted? I think it's because there's some owners and some teams and just some GMs that aren't ready for that switch yet. I think they're still stuck in their old ways where they like the pocket passers, they like you stay in there, you don't run outside the pocket. They like the Big Bens, the Tom Brady's, the Phillip Rivers, the Eli Mannings. Those are the type of quarterbacks that has been all throughout history of the NFL is the norm. And now all of a sudden within the last 5 years, we've had the Deshaun Watsons, Patrick Mahomes, Mitchell Trubisky, if he could have developed his accuracy a little bit more. But since 2016, 2017, we see an influx in these dynamic quarterbacks. And I just don't think owners and certain GMs and, offensive coordinators are ready for it. I think they're going to have to start getting ready for it because we've seen the success of all these quarterbacks. There's not really been a bust at the dynamic quarterback yet. I guess you could say Marcus Mariota. He was pretty dynamic. He could run. He definitely had, I think the reason that he failed is more on the team, not building around him, and constantly changing offensive coordinators and coaches. I think that is more a detriment to why he didn't work out in Tennessee than Marcus Mariota's dynamic ability of running and throwing. But it's always been those type of quarterbacks that are dual threats, but usually they force them to become pocket passers. And Mac Jones and Daniel Jones are two quarterbacks who are basically used as pocket passers. Now, Daniel Jones can run. I'm not saying that he's bad, but he has a fumbling problem, and when you run, they go for the ball. Defensive ends, corners, safeties, they go for the ball. So Daniel Jones, while he can run, it's more likely that they're gonna put him back, stay in the pocket, just throw from the pocket. We're gonna secure you as much as possible because you have a fumbling problem. And Mac Jones, same thing. He's a pocket passer, not a lot of athletic ability running out of the pocket, and I think that's why he's gonna go early. I think this would be like the Patriots. Yes, they have Cam Newton, and they've seen some sort of success. I believe he led the league in quarterback touchdowns last season, but I just think because of Mac Jones' pocket passing ability, he's going to rise up boards. And like the Falcons, they have Matt Ryan. They don't have a dynamic quarterback. Matt Ryan isn't bad. They don't have a dual threat running quarterback who can throw. And I think that's another kind of a team that would take a Mac Jones type. Washington football team, I think, is a perfect place for Mac Jones. I think that's where he can succeed. But like I said, they don't have a dynamic quarterback. They don't have a dual threat. And I think Ron Rivera is the type of guy who would take a quarterback who's more likely to stay in the pocket than constantly be a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen running out and making plays. The league is changing and just teams and owners not ready. That's my first point, basically. Number two, they were decent in college, so they could say, hey, we already know the developmental type. We already know that pocket passer quarterbacks that just do their job, they don't turn the ball over in college, and they get a lot of touchdowns, can succeed in the NFL, because that's what it was for 50 years. And Mac Jones had a Heisman, worthy season last year. He won the national championship, led Alabama to the championship, was in Heisman Trophy conversations. He did not turn the ball over a lot. He had a lot of touchdowns. I think that's the mold of a decent NFL quarterback. And Trey Lance and Zach Wilson are risky picks. They both aren't, they're both not Joe Burrow. They're both not Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold coming out of college. They're not risky. They're not risky picks. That's just what it is. They're not risky. We already know what they're going to give us. They're going to give us 25 touchdowns to 8 to 15 interceptions. That's what they're going to give us. We're okay with that. And that's what they're banking on. They're banking on the basic average NFL quarterback. They're not going for the dynamic quarterback that could get us, 24 touchdowns through the air, 8 touchdowns through the ground with, 600 yards, and, maybe a couple more interceptions. But they'd rather take the mold that they've had for 50 years and just copy and paste it. Another thing is Daniel Jones and Mac Jones both have pretty high intelligence. They make really good. They made really good choices in college, whether that's turning the ball over, deciding when the play is dead and just throwing the ball out, knowing when the pocket's collapsing and just finding the first, the check down. I think they both showed really good intelligence in college. That's another thing. It's not a hindrance on why the Jones Enigma is weird. I think it's just more of a basic, it makes sense that these guys would be first round picks usually, but when you want to take an effect that they're being used as smoke screens or real picks. That's my final point. Is that both these guys were used as smoke screens by other teams to be like, hey, let's just say, for example, the 49ers. They said, we like Mac Jones, we're going to take Mac Jones at number 3. But now, a couple days later, they said, well, we might take Justin Fields, but we don't know. If Justin Fields is there, we'll take a look at him. If Justin Fields is there, we'll take a look at him. That's what they said. That's what John Lynch said at his press conference. And I think right there is a perfect example of Mac Jones being used as a smokescreen to bait other teams into thinking, the 49ers traded up to number 3? Did they really see Mac Jones that good? Did we miss out on Mac Jones? Should we take another look at Mac Jones? Okay, let's look at film. Let's rise him up our board a little bit. I think that's exactly what the 49ers want. That's what multiple teams in 2019 did with Daniel Jones, and he rose all the way to number 6 overall when he was a second round pick. He went from the second round to number 6 overall. And what's about to happen with Mac Jones? He's gonna go from the second round to a top 10 pick. Whether that means someone trading up to grab him or someone in the top 10 grabbing him, like the Panthers maybe. It all depends on what team is willing to trade up to number 10. I don't know if there is a team that has the firepower and the wants for Mac Jones to trade from whatever pick they're at to number 10. But I just think it's very sad. But I think it's just very interesting to see teams use these kind of quarterbacks. They're your basic pocket passer, average quarterbacks as smoke screens for their real picks. Because we all know Justin Fields is better than Mac Jones. We all know Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence are all better than Mac Jones. He's the 5th quarterback on the table. But the fact that he's being used as a smoke screen to say, hey, we like him number 3, that could mean that, maybe the Jets, maybe the Jets are very gullible and they'd be like, oh, they think of him as number 3? Maybe we should think about him at number 2. Okay. Or maybe they can bait another team into trading up to number 2 overall to take Mac Jones, which is very unlikely. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to use him as smoke screens, making the Jones Enigma work out for them. Because it hides their real pick, and it just makes other teams question their draft. But that's my analysis of the Jones Enigma. If you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload. And again, please follow me on Twitch and subscribe to me on Twitch. You don't have to pay. I believe it's only $3.99 a month for your first month. It goes up to $5.99. Please support me over there. This is all I do. Is I play games on stream, and I spend hours and hours recording videos, editing thumbnails, and just diving into stats and statistics and draft analysis. This is all I want to do. So please support me over there. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Bye.